Hi teachers, Robin here from Spectacle Blue. Welcome to Teacher Tip Tuesday. I would like to address leg line today. I think a lot of us struggle, whether we are aerial dance coaches, whether we are traditional dance coaches, whether we are gymnastic coaches, whether we are figure skating coaches. We have these legs that are extended and they have what we're calling our micro bend, and it can be really difficult to get rid of. Particularly in our entry-level students. The micro bend becomes even smaller as our students get more advanced, but I know some of them, mine in particular, really still struggle with getting rid of that micro bend. I have a couple of tips that I think will really help. They've certainly helped with my students in the past year when we've changed our focus on leg line and how we get it. So here we go. Let's jump in. One of our first big hindrances to a leg line and eliminating the micro bend can be tightness in the calf muscles. I, for one, am one of those students who never had a beautiful line, and it wasn't until I was a grown adult and doing a lot of yoga and really working in downward dog that I realized my calves are so tight. So one of the exercises we've been doing with our students is just putting the toes up onto the yoga block and leaning into it, and if they can hack it for those calves, bringing the other foot in front and stretching into it. It means they're able to relax the top of their foot while really stretching the calf muscle in the back. Particularly for some of our newer students or those students with really tight hamstrings, that can be a big problem with getting our extension. So what we want to do is really be careful when they're doing fold over that their hip line is not way behind their feet. So you want to bring those hips up and over their feet. And some of them may need a yoga block. Put the yoga block in front of them so that instead of being back here, they can take a little bit of the weight in their arms so that they can really get the hips stacked over the heels. As they get a little more flexible, they can continue to stack them over the toes as their chests get lower down, keeping the legs really straight as they can to extend the stretch all the way up back the leg. Once they're beginning to develop some flexibility in the hamstring, I take them to face the wall. We fold over, making sure it's not the head, it's the upper back that is against the wall. Heels stay down on the floor. Hands go behind their back to prevent them from taking the weight, keeping those legs as straight as they can, heels driving to the ground. The further away from the wall their heels get, the more intense the stretch in the calf, behind the knee, and up into the hamstring becomes. The last thing I really focus on with my students when I'm trying to create that beautiful long line in their legs is where they're stretching from. I know that in particular we as dance teachers, we tend to tickle behind the knee when we find their leg isn't straightening. I've been finding that sort of ineffective because they're not understanding physiologically what part of their body has to engage in order to get that straight leg. Behind the knee, yes, it's because we're encouraging them to stretch, but what I've really found helpful of late is instead of tickling them behind the knee, I've been poking them just above the kneecap into that quadricep muscle, not the bulky part of their muscle, but just above the knee, and saying, okay, I don't want lazy. I don't want to feel it soft and lazy there. I want you to engage that so that what happens is that's what automatically stretches the leg. It is actually the quadricep muscle that creates a straight leg. So by engaging that leg just above the knee, that muscle just above the knee, it's really starting to stretch behind. My kids are starting to call it lazy knee. Don't have lazy knee, right? And that seems to really be helping make that adjustment. It's a big adjustment for me because I'm a behind the knee girl too, but I've been reaching back there and then poking the front, asking them not to have lazy knee in the front. I know that as dance teachers, we try not to encourage them to engage the quadricep because we're worried about gripping and pulling into the hip socket. I'm going to talk a little bit about that next week when I talk about splits. But for now, maybe give that a try. See if talking about lazy knee instead of the back of the knee helps your students get more line. It's certainly helped mine. Thanks for being here for Teacher Tip Tuesday. If you have any questions about this or any of the other material we've covered in our Teacher Tip Tuesdays, please don't hesitate to contact me. I can be reached at info@spectacleblue.ca. I'm really here to help you, so please feel free to contact me. I'm happy to help.